Karth Prime Spaceport was a monument to galactic order. Suspended above a gas giant, the station stretched for hundreds of kilometers, its curved hull glowing with regulated traffic lanes and docking beacons. Millions of travelers passed through it every cycle. Merchants, diplomats, mercenaries, scholars, each one catalogued, scanned and classified before being allowed inside. Nothing dangerous entered Karth Prime. That belief had kept the station safe for centuries. When the human arrived, the scanners hesitated. He stepped off a mid-tier transport and into the arrival concourse, moving with the casual pace of someone unfamiliar with fear. He was alone. No entourage, no visible technology beyond a simple data slate clipped to his belt. His clothing was plain, dark, and utilitarian. The biometric sweep passed. The threat assessment did not. A soft chime echoed through the security network, too quiet for civilians to notice, loud enough to make every guard in the sector tense. "Anomaly detected," announced the port AI. "Species, human. Origin, Sol 3. Classification pending." The second scan ran automatically. "No natural weapons detected," the AI continued. "No artificial weapons detected. No defensive systems detected." The assessment froze, then flashed crimson. Several nearby aliens instinctively stepped away from the human. Conversations died mid-sentence. A merchant dropped a crate, its contents scattering across the floor. The human noticed none of it. He paused near a navigation display, studying a rotating map of the station with mild interest. Security forces moved fast. Tall, armored Threxian guards emerged from concealed alcoves, their shock rifles already powered. Their armor plates clicked softly as they formed a semicircle around the human. "Citizen," the lead officer said, its 4 eyes locked onto him. "Remain still." The human turned, surprised more than alarmed. "Is there a problem?" The officer's crest flared. "You are in violation of Galactic Hub security doctrine." "For standing?" the human asked. "For entering a Class 1 transit hub while completely unarmed," the officer replied. The human blinked. "That's not allowed?" A ripple of unease spread through the concourse. Travelers backed away. A pair of avian diplomats took flight in panic, slamming into a ceiling barrier before retreating. "Unarmed?" whispered a gelatinous trader. "That's a sign of predatory confidence." "It means it doesn't need a weapon," another hissed. The human raised his hands slowly, not in surrender, but confusion. "I didn't think I'd need one." That sentence sealed his fate. Restraints snapped into existence around his wrists and ankles, glowing bands of energy locking his limbs in place. A containment field shimmered around him, calibrated for high-risk combat species. The human looked down at the cuffs, then back up at the officer. "These seem excessive." "You are an unknown threat," the officer said sharply. "Your species originates from a Deathworld. Entering unarmed indicates either suicidal ignorance or overwhelming confidence." The human sighed softly. "It's usually this part." He was escorted through the concourse as alarms quietly escalated across the station's security grid. Shops sealed themselves. Force fields slid into place. Civilians pressed against walls, eyes wide with fear as the unarmed human passed. Some stared in disbelief, others in terror. Inside the holding sector, the gravity subtly increased, testing his balance. The human adjusted instinctively, muscles compensating without thought. Sensors recorded the adaptation. Subject stabilizing under increased gravity, the AI noted. No distress detected. The Threxian officer paused. "You should be struggling." "Why?" the human asked. "Gravity's just a suggestion." That comment triggered a secondary alert. The human was placed inside a reinforced containment chamber, layered with null fields designed to suppress aggression, adrenaline spikes, and neural overactivity. The field activated. The human exhaled slowly. "Name your purpose here," the officer demanded. "I'm a cultural liaison," the human replied. "I was supposed to meet a trade delegate." The officer stared. "You walk unarmed into unknown territory on a station full of armed species for diplomacy." "Yes." Silence stretched. That makes no sense, the officer said. The human smiled faintly. You should see Earth. The officer leaned closer to the field. You will explain why you came without a weapon. The human met its gaze, calm and steady. Because, he said evenly, where I'm from, weapons are optional. The containment field hummed louder. And because, he continued, being unarmed doesn't mean being harmless. The officer stepped back. For the first time since the human arrived, fear, real fear, entered the room. And deep within the station's core, the AI quietly updated its threat models. Something about humanity did not fit existing categories. Something far more dangerous than a weapon had just walked in. The interrogation chamber lay deep within Karth Prime, far from the bright concourses and open trade halls. Its walls were layered with gravitic dampeners, neural suppressors, and adaptive energy fields, technology designed after centuries of dealing with the most violent species the galaxy had ever produced. At the center of the room sat the human. He was still restrained, his wrists bound by glowing energy cuffs, his ankles locked to the floor. Yet his posture was relaxed, almost casual, as though he were waiting for a delayed transport rather than standing accused of being an existential threat. Behind a transparent barrier, a panel of security officials gathered. Insectoid analysts, armored war species, crystalline intelligences, all watching the human with a mixture of fascination and unease. The Threxian officer who had ordered the arrest stood at the forefront. You have been classified as a level 7 risk, the officer said. That rating is typically reserved for combat veterans and engineered predators. The human nodded politely. Sounds about right? A murmur rippled through the panel. You find this amusing? Snapped a Tellurian war advisor, its mandibles clicking in agitation. No, the human replied. Familiar. The chief analyst activated a holographic display. Human anatomy appeared, skeletal structure, muscle density, neural clusters highlighted in pulsing light. Your species lacks any natural weaponry, the analyst said. No claws, no fangs, no venom. Your skin offers minimal protection. By galactic standards, you should be prey. The human tilted his head. And yet, the analyst hesitated. And yet your combat survival statistics are anomalous. Images replaced the diagram. Humans enduring injuries that would incapacitate most species. Humans continuing to function with broken bones, severe burns, and massive blood loss. Humans fighting through fear responses rather than being paralyzed by them. Your pain tolerance exceeds predicted limits, the analyst continued. Your adrenal response is extreme, but controlled. You can override biological shutdown signals. The human shrugged. We learned to. The Tellurian leaned closer to the barrier. Explain. The human looked around the chamber, as if considering how much truth they could handle. On Earth, he said, pain isn't an emergency. It's background noise. The room grew quiet. Our world tried to kill us before we learned to speak, he continued. Weather, animals, disease, gravity, each other. If pain stopped us, we wouldn't exist. The Threxian officer gestured sharply. Then why not carry a weapon, human? Even your weakest firearms surpass most civilian defenses. The human smiled faintly. Because weapons can be taken away. He lifted his cuffed hands. These can be disabled, dropped, turned against you. The containment field pulsed as his heart rate rose, then stabilized. But this, he said, tapping his temple, you can't confiscate. The neural monitors spiked. A technician cried out, He's resisting the suppressors. I'm not resisting, the human said calmly. I'm ignoring them. The chief analyst stared in disbelief. That's not possible. The human leaned forward slightly. The restraints strained. We evolved persistence, he said. Endurance, improvisation. We turn environments into tools, obstacles into weapons. The display shifted again. Humans using debris as cover, tools as clubs, terrain as traps. Humans adapting mid-conflict, rewriting tactics instinctively. You built your societies around weapons, the human said. So when they're gone, you're helpless. He looked each of them in the eyes. We built ours around surviving without them. Silence fell. The Tellurian's voice dropped to a whisper. You are saying humans themselves are weapons. The human nodded once. We prefer the term self-contained. The Threxian officer took an involuntary step back. Then why submit to arrest? The human exhaled slowly. Because if I fought, you'd confirm your worst fears. He met the officer's gaze. I wanted you to understand this without anyone dying. The restraints powered down. One by one, the containment fields dimmed. No one moved to stop him. The human stood, rolling his shoulders as if stretching after a long journey. You arrested me for being unarmed, he said. From your perspective, that was logical. He walked toward the exit. Guards parted instinctively, weapons lowering without orders. But now you know, he continued, pausing at the doorway, when you see a human without a weapon. He glanced back, eyes steady. It means we don't think we need one. The door slid open. The human walked out. Long after he was gone, the chief analyst finally spoke. Update all security protocols, it said quietly. How? A technician asked. The analyst stared at the empty chamber. Humans are no longer to be classified as unarmed, it replied. A pause. They are to be classified as the weapon. And across Karth Prime and soon the galaxy, every threat index was rewritten. Not because the human had attacked, but because he hadn't needed to.